Hey, welcome back to our show. This is the year of magical learning, the Yomo. Today we're doing book 139, and it's about one of my favorite drinks that I no longer drink, but it's something that I chose not to based on another book that I've read. So I'll let Chris tell you about the reflection, and we can talk about why I did it.
Yeah. So the book that we're going to be talking about today, number 139, is a book called Caffeine: How Caffeine Created the Modern World by the author Michael Pollan. The reflection title of this one is the No Caffeine Challenge results, right? Every month, if you don't know, one of our core values in Clubany is challenge yourself. One of my personal core values is challenge yourself. I love to challenge myself, whether it be in work, tennis, just whatever. Get outside your comfort zone and try new stuff. It's been almost 2 years now. I try to pick one new, just random challenge a month, where I'm trying something new, get outside my comfort zone and, explore, see if it aligns with my values or not. I just pick something that sounds interesting and see if it naturally aligns or not, right? As I go through it and try to explore and challenge myself to grow and learn and all that good stuff. This particular month, I happened to read this book. It was kind of good timing. I was doing a no caffeine challenge because Drew talks about no caffeine all the time and how it changed him. Just like I'm on the month challenge of intermittent fasting right now, kind of because of you. The no caffeine challenge was kind of inspired because of you as well. For me personally, caffeine, I had started to notice, I'm not a caffeine junkie or anything like that. I would have like one cup of coffee a day, maybe once every 2 to 3 weeks, I'd have a second one or a cup of tea in the early afternoon. That was about the max amount of caffeine that I would consume in a day. But I always started my day off with a cup of black coffee with sugar in it. I mean, I didn't put cream or anything like that. It was just black coffee with sugar. And I liked it. But then I would always go do my workouts right after. I would drink a cup of coffee, eat a quick breakfast, and I would do my writing, and then I would do some reading, and then I would go do my workout. And I started to notice, like, as we were talking about yesterday with the Breathe book, as I was talking about when I do my runs and stuff like that in the morning and different workouts, my nose gets super congested, especially when I'm outside. Like my sinuses just flare up and I feel like I'm just allergic to everything. Well, I started to research, around like coffee and caffeine and in general, and found out that it's a histamine, right? So like histamines, like if naturally like clog up your nose even more. And I was wondering, like in my head, I was thinking, well, if I don't always have a histamine, just the recording just stopped and then just recorded again. You, can you hear me? I can't hear you.
I sorry, I clicked the wrong
Oh,
button. Yeah,
oh, there
I'm
you go.
trying to unmute myself.
Oh, anyway, so do I need to start over?
No, continue.
Okay. All right. So I was wondering, because coffee and tea and especially caffeine, herbal teas aren't a histamine. Caffeine in particular is a histamine. And I was wondering if that was actually making my nose more stuffed up in general and dehydrated feeling and yada, yada, yada. So that was the reason why I did this no caffeine challenge personally. So I started trying this, and then I was about 3/4 of the way through the month as the universe works its magic and Amelia works her magic. Like, I had just finished like a couple of really long books and I was looking for something to read that was short and quick and fast. I happened to stumble upon one of my favorite authors in Michael Pollan and this book about caffeine. And it was a really short, quick read, something I could do in like a day or two and just kind of cruise through it and listen and learn something new and whatever on Audible. And it was funny because I had already read one of the earliest books we did was A History of the World in 6 classes, right? And they talked a lot about how coffee and tea, Coca-Cola helped shape the world. I mean, it really did. Caffeine is a very important thing for humanity in general in terms of how it's shaped and molded our identity, because it's a powerful drug. I mean, it really is. So I'd already learned a lot about caffeine in general, but I saw this book and I was like, hey, I think it'd be worth a try. So as I'm reading it, I was expecting to learn the same stuff that I probably had already knew. I didn't know what to really expect from this book, right? So as Michael Pollan's going through it, he actually starts to talk about a lot of this book was actually about him on his no caffeine challenge. He decided to quit caffeine to see what would happen if he uncaffeinated himself, and how it would affect his like writing and other things, and disconnected from the caffeinated world. And it was basically like him like just writing like a journal almost of his experiences of going through his own withdrawal, of caffeine, and seeing the world from a different perspective and understanding how this affected him and didn't affect him and yada yada yada. And it was hilarious because I was going through the same thing at the same time. And I was like, this is hilarious. I felt like a kindred spirit. I was 3 weeks into my month challenge. And I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I was struggling. Like I said, I'm not a big caffeine drinker. And this isn't like something that was pivotal to my life. But man, I was so effing tired of drinking herbal tea by this point in time. I was like, if I have to drink one more cup of herbal tea, I'm going to scream. Like, I mean, I could not stand it anymore. Like, I was like, that's all I could drink. It's like damn near herbal tea or water. This sucks. I don't drink pop. I don't drink whatever, but I would drink like caffeine, coffee or kombucha or something. I was just like, just give me something besides herbal fucking tea. And I was losing my mind at this point in time in my challenge. And I accidentally drank a kombucha. I drink kombucha all the time. I didn't even know that it had caffeine in it until I didn't even ever think about it because I would drink kombucha. And I was so sick and tired of drinking herbal tea that I was like, look, I got to have something else. So I went to the store and I got some kombucha and then I was drinking it and I started to feel like, whoa, like my eye, I mean, I could feel the caffeine because it had been like 3 weeks and I was like, what is going on? I could feel my heart starting to race. My head was getting super clear. And I was like, man, this is intense. And then I went and Googled it and I was like, I just remembered, I was like, kombucha is made of tea. I was like, is it black tea? I don't actually know. So I went and Googled it. And yeah, sure enough, it is made of like caffeinated tea. You know, it still has a decent amount of caffeine in it, but it doesn't ever listed on kombucha. And I was like, oh no, I drank caffeine on accident. So that was the only time that I broke my streak through the month. But I could feel it, man. It reminded me how powerful caffeine is and then how much clarity that it does give you and how much of a boost of energy that it gives you. It is pretty intoxicating. Like you forget it when you drink it all the time. You don't really feel that boost. It's almost like a cigarette. If you smoke all the time, you don't feel the nicotine kick, you know, but when you first have a cigarette, you're like, whoa, you know, like this feels awful actually. Like, you know, it doesn't feel, you know, I don't know if you've ever smoked a cigarette before, but I certainly have back in my day as a youngster. So, I mean, it reminds me of that, of like that feeling of like, holy shit, this is why people love caffeine so much. It really does give you that massive jolt, right? So long story short, my monthly challenge results were, here's my results. It's all about balance for me. I did enjoy every once in a while, like when I wanted to get that extra boost of energy, but for the majority of the time, I was like, I should probably just stick with things like an herbal tea or whatever it may be. I don't need caffeine first thing every morning. I've been able to maintain that. This was back in, gosh, when did I write this? Posted it in March. We're in October now. I feel like I did this one back in like December. It's probably been like 8 months where I don't really drink a lot of caffeine anymore at all. If I was 100% every day caffeinated before, I'm probably like 20% caffeinated, you know, and those are the days that I drink like a kombucha or whatever. I rarely ever drink coffee, like maybe once a weekend, like if Felicia and I want to go on a walk somewhere and go to the coffee shop or something and get like a, you know, it's like a treat, you know, like, oh yeah, I'll get a latte or whatever. So for me, like, I feel like I found a good balance with caffeine and it has affected my performance in my workouts and things. I do feel better without having to, you know, it did dehydrate me, you know, coffee in particular dehydrated me. I didn't like it helps me in workouts, you know, like not drinking coffee. So yeah, it was an interesting experiment. And, you know, this book was a good timing because I was right in the middle of it. I will pause there because I'd love to get your thoughts because I know you're probably chomping at the bit to talk about caffeine because it's something that you value or that you used to value and now you don't value it anymore. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so for me is I'm a caffeine junkie. I mean, as a Vietnamese descent, right? We are basically born with an addiction to caffeine, to the coffee, particularly because
you guys grow it, and is it grown in Vietnam?
Yeah, we grow in Vietnam, and
gotcha.
And so when you are born, you are actually inherited that addiction. So for me is if you know, I don't know if a lot of people know, but in Vietnam, most like if you go and drink Vietnamese coffee, and I know some people have now. It's become more popular in America now. But if you drink Vietnamese coffee, the coffee is really strong. The reason for that is they don't most of the coffee that we make from, like, let's say you go to your workplace, right, and you make those coffee from those bags.
Yeah.
Compare to the 1 cup of coffee in basically it's 8 times the caffeine. So when I go to work, right, when I make coffee for people at work, I double bag. I like coffee. I drink coffee instead of water. So I'm a programmer.
Yeah.
And so the first thing I go to work is I would make a double dose coffee. I would get my fresh cup, like black with nothing in it, and I would drink and I would go drink. So basically I probably finished that coffee in about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And imagine I do that for 8 hours. So in 8 hours, how many cups do you think I drink?
I mean, it sounds like 6 to 8. I mean,
8 or 10.
That's a lot.
And then when I go home, I drink more.
Jesus Christ.
Right? Because the thing is, so if I were to drink the Vietnamese coffee, I would drink about 4 of them, which is 4. But when I go to work, those coffee doesn't give me the buzz I need. So I would always double it and I would drink it dark black, like a sludge almost. And that's what I drink. And even that, it's barely sustaining my level of energy. Just imagine you driving a Ferrari, right? And you're driving 90
That's
miles,
a lot.
90 miles an hour. But then the thing is, when you drive 90 miles an hour for a while, it seems normal. It's nothing different, right?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because the thing is, it doesn't matter
Yeah,
how far you take the caffeine, you get adjusted to that level, and it seems like it's normal. It's nothing more, right?
it's tolerance.
So that's how much I'm addicted to caffeine. I
Right.
drink coffee like 30 minutes before I go to bed, which is 8, 9, 10, even 11, 12 midnight. I was still drinking coffee.
Did you sleep? How do you sleep after drinking?
I don't know. I could sleep. I could just, drink and I just fall asleep in 50.
That's remarkable. I mean, I don't know actually how the human body would shut your yeah, I don't know. Work. I mean,
I think is right now, the thing is what happened is I'm addicted to the taste, the bitter taste of the coffee, and it's the aroma of the coffee. That's what I'm addicted to. I don't think I'm addicted to caffeine per se.
yeah, you are.
No, because I can drink tea and I don't like it. I don't like it. I have
Well,
to drink.
that's not as much caffeine in tea. I mean, to be
I
fair,
can drink as much tea as I want, and it's still not.
did you like Red Bull or anything?
Yes. So a technology entrepreneur.
Right.
And so I drink the coffee. And then when I was in my early 20s, I started a company, a consulting.
It's about like a Vietnamese coffee.
I drink because I'm a principal developer as well as the owner of the company. So I usually take on multiple projects myself as well. Normally, I have to work late. Sometimes I have to stay all night to do stuff. So I start with caffeine, with the coffee, then I would graduate to Red Bull. If you can imagine my office, right? In my floor, there's a bunch of Red Bull cans all over the place. Imagine the car storm with the red. So, and then after that, Red Bull didn't do the task. I moved to 5-hour energy. I upgraded to right. So that is how much I'm a junkie of caffeine. Insane, right?
Extremely high daily intakes of 1,000 or more have been reported to cause nervousness, jitter.
No,
they said 400 milligrams. So if you're drinking.
No, because we proved yesterday that what we think is wrong, because I told you about the 6 minutes of breath hold, and you say people are gonna die. So if you're not a trained Vietnamese or Colombian, you cannot even take one sip of the Vietnamese coffee. Because I did give somebody a sip of Vietnamese coffee to one of my white friends.
Right.
He didn't sleep for 3 days.
I mean, dude, I'm no joke. I mean, I took a kombucha, which is super tame, and fermented. And after 3 weeks of no caffeine, I was like, whoa!
This guy, right? He got one sip of from my cup, one sip, and he didn't sleep for 3 days because he wasn't used to the caffeine.
Right.
So that's why I'm talking. Yesterday we're talking about the breath hold record, right?
Right.
I told you that, hey, you can hold your breath for 6 minutes. You say no way, people die, and I thought you were kidding. And then you look it up, it's like actually 24 minutes or 30 minutes. Right?
I mean, I honestly thought that you would go brain dead if you didn't get any oxygen to your brain for 4 minutes. Isn't that how that works? If there's no oxygen to your brain for 4 minutes, you go brain dead?
No.
Are you sure?
Well, the thing is, people have done it. So,
well, I mean, just because you're holding your breath doesn't mean your brain is still getting oxygen, because you sucked in a bunch of oxygen.
Right. You have to train your body. Your body has to adjust to it, how to adapt.
I'm saying if you had.
So there's a lot of people who live far up in the mountain, right? They have a much stronger lung capacity, and they can get in the mountain. It's thin air,
right?
So there's not a lot of oxygen, so they can live there. If we go up there right now, we're always going to be tired like this because we're not used to it, and because a drastic change would cause you to die, to collapse, to bust, whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
but slowly, if you train, because for me, you think about it, I'm come from that particular background. Most of my grandparents and their grandparents drink coffee. Right. And when I was growing up, we even have a coffee plantation. Grew coffee.
We
grew it.
Like your family grew coffee?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I go out there and I would
was it like a family garden, or was it like a
plantation?
It's production. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, we grew it to drink and we grew it to sell it. So we grew the coffee the coffee plants, then collect the coffee beans. It's Arabian coffee. I mean, the flower and the leaves, it looks
Right.
really nice. It's real nice. It's very shiny, and the white flower is pretty. And then it's like a green, shiny green. You pluck it down, and then you would dry it up, and then you would roast them, and then you would sell it. You pack it just like they do here. So, that's how, where you get coffee from Colombian or from, in the, because in the East, like most of our export comes to like China and Singapore and Thailand, all that, what in America, most of the American coffee comes from like Colombia, right? It's still Mexico as well. It's still a big plantation in those areas as well. But now, I mean, we basically grew up with coffee, and everyone in our family drinks coffee just because that's in our blood for whatever reason.
Makes
And
sense.
so it's not about just me drinking for the past 30, 40 years. I also inherit the bloodline of many, many generations. I don't know how far it went, but it is many, many generations that have the gene that are able to adapt to the caffeine. So I was able to drink that. Otherwise, I would have bounced off the wall, right? And that's the thing is, if I drink that today, even a simple herbal tea, I wouldn't be able to sleep for the whole day. Okay.
I bet.
So backtrack to what happened is when I read that book, Why We Sleep, right? It dawned on me, and it made me understand that caffeine has a tremendous effect on our brain capacity and creativity, because it basically blocks some of the natural process, because it replaces some of the things that makes you sleepy, right? So it blocks it.
Well, it doesn't replace it. It still builds the just caffeine. Like
no. So thing is, it basically resembles that particular chemicals that makes you sleepy, right? But it goes in and it caps it so that the other chemicals is floating around, but you still need to sleep. So it basically blocks your body sensory from telling you that you need a rest. And because of that, I truly think that it is not giving my body a chance to repair itself. And I think that's where my health isn't as optimal as I would like it to be. And so because of that, I decided to quit the caffeine. I did try to quit caffeine back in my late 20s, early 30s for 3 months. And that was a miserable existence. It's a miserable. If you ask me anything before 10 a.m., I would have a 1 to 2 second delay response. And whatever comes out of my mouth is not.
I believe it because like I drank 1/10 of what you drank, in a course of a day. And like I was just groggy. I felt like had headaches every day. I was like, man, this sucks. I mean, it took me like a solid 2 to 3 weeks before I stopped feeling like shit all the time, after I went caffeine free myself. And I wasn't even drinking that much. I can't even imagine how you felt. Like, I mean, that's like a stone cold alcoholic drinking, a fifth of Jaeger and a 12-pack every day or something like that, just going cold turkey with alcohol. I'm surprised your body didn't just like start puking everywhere. like revolting.
It is. I mean, the thing is, I went into withdrawal for at least a month. When I tried to quit the first time in my early 30s, I quit the caffeine. Basically, I stopped drinking it, and I was a useless person for 1 month. And after that, like for next 2 months, I was operational, but I cannot stay up at night. I have to sleep regularly. Otherwise, I can't function. So I broke my caffeine fast because I need to stay up late to do some work. And there's no way for me to stay up late, and I have to drink the caffeine. So that's why I came back. Once I came back, and then when I read that book, which is like another 15 years later, 15 years later, I met you, right? And we were on this journey to do learning, and hence the year of magical learning. I read the book While We Sleep and understand now the effect that caffeine has on your body and how much it actually robs you from your creativity and your health in general. That is a hidden danger. And I understand that. So basically from then on, I decided to quit cold turkey. And I did that for almost 2 years now. And I quit cold turkey without having any withdrawal or anything. It's because I think for whatever reason, this time is because I understand it and my mind has accepted the fact that this is good for me and this is something that I don't look back. But I did drink a very, very light caffeine drink My wife bought me a fruity drink from one of those like those Asian place where they have those fruity drinks where you have
Right.
like a jelly and stuff in there, and
Yeah.
they happen to put tea in it. For me, tea was like nothing, like water to me back
Right.
then. But drink that she gave me was made of tea. In comparison, that tea was so small that it wouldn't even give me a 1 minute boost. But that tea, after I quit caffeine for like a year, kept me up for the entire night. I could not sleep until the next day. Right. And so my
Crazy.
body just reset from the generations of
Yeah.
practice. So now I cannot take the caffeine because I think I'm clean the
Right.
caffeine.
Man, it's
But
an intense drug. I mean, it really is. Like, I mean, you can, like, it really does. I mean, so, and a part of me is like, you know, one of our main core of clubbing is live a balanced existence, right? You know, and
mhm.
trying to find balance between, you know, work and meaningful relationships and just balance in general, whatever you're doing, right? And you know, like I don't know that was why after my challenge, like I was like, look, I don't see I see value in caffeine and bringing more clarity. I mean, you could feel it. Like, I mean, I've felt more mentally clear. If you drink a cup of coffee in the morning or something like that, man, I'm ready to go. Like, you know, felt like I used to when I drank a Red Bull for the first time. You know, we were like gonna go drive off a, you know, you go run 30 miles or something like
Mhm.
that. You know what I mean? Like, it empowers you. Like, and especially so if you're trying to do some creative thinking, let's say you're in a fasted state and you add that into that to boost, you're like, man, your brain's working on crystal clear overdrive, you know, there's no
Mhm.
calories, whatever. I could see some value in the balance of using it
Yeah, but that's the thing is you take
to cons
the
and you
pros
crash.
is that it gives you that temporary boost, right? Because it forces your brain to say, well, I need to go because it accelerates your heart. It stimulates your bloodstream. It's a blood it's flowing
Yeah,
faster. Get more oxygen going through all the parts of the body, including your brain. So you see more clear and you're able to focus, but at the right amount. If you go overboard, then it's going to cause nervousness and
right.
anxiety and all that. And basically, it's kind of like wash out all the benefits that you have because when you generate, there's nothing you can do except for endure through it and allow time to get rid of it.
Right.
There's not much you can do with it. And so the thing is that gives you the boost, but at the same time, you become addicted to it. And
Yeah, no,
then
yeah.
just like you driving a car 90 miles an hour, and then when you slow down, it's like this is frustrating. Why are people so slow? And you're driving 45 miles on a on a 30-mile-an-hour limit,
Right.
right? And so that's the thing is when we get used to the bump in the alertness, right? It becomes stabilized, but then when you go down, like it's like you are doing a downgrade. And
Right.
so for me, it's like there's benefit, but you also need to take into account that there is the negative effect to it. The negative effect to it, because the thing is, for me, you're paying for it. Whether you're paying for with your health that you don't know, because the thing is, let's say you have 1 billion heartbeats, but rob you of 10,000 is not much compared to the billion, but
Right.
it still does rob it from you. Like
Yeah, that's fair.
your creativity may not get you back to where normally is after. I mean, because the thing is, you basically are telling your
I
body,
mean, yeah,
hey,
you
there's
crash. I
certain
mean,
thing. This
yeah, when that crash happens, like I have no creativity. Like my brain can't work. Like, I mean, I'm like, I just need to go take a nap.
right
Like,
because
yeah.
it's not only that. Because the thing is, let's say I only need this morning to focus, and in the afternoon I don't have to do anything, right? And to say, well,
Right.
that's okay because I'm going to concentrate all my energy into the 4 hours in the morning, and I bring the coffee and I do excellent work and put all my ideas into the project in the afternoon. That you say, well, I'm going to compensate by not doing anything and relax. The thing is, that's what we think happens, right? But I think there's more that you're paying than just that, because there's certain things that we don't see. So that's how I see when I read the book, how I believe my understanding of it becomes. So I said, well, the thing is, there are unseen negatives in addition to the offset of I'm having this crash and I feel not very good. It's unseen negativity in terms of my body wasn't able to repair all the stuff. Maybe only repair 90% of the stuff. There's 10% that's still left hanging on something, and that kind of unrepaired business, unfinished business in my body will come back to haunt me in the future.
I mean,
And if you think about compounding those things together, and about compound effect, that's a huge thing, both positively and negatively.
I mean, you make a ton of sense. I mean, I'm sold on your logic behind it. The one thing that I would add to this though is, you did it again. The recording stopped and then it started again. That's right. Anyway,
Okay.
the one thing I would add to that conversation though is like caffeine's like in damn near everything.
I mean, everybody drinks it from all corner of the world. They drink
like the different drink. It's not even just coffee. I'm talking about
caffeine.
pop,
Yeah, even
Red Bull,
alcohol has
energy
caffeine.
drinks, sometimes alcohol, tea. I mean, hell, I was drinking this cherry juice, Bing cherry juice or whatever, and it has ginseng tea in it that's spiked in. Like there's caffeine in pretty much damn near everything. If you go look at the aisle of the store,
it's like carb, right? Caffeine is like carb. It's everywhere.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, you go look at the drink aisle in any store, it's pretty rare to find a drink that doesn't have caffeine besides like water or maybe Gatorade or something like that. You know, most of those drinks, that cooler, if you go to a gas station or whatever, whether it's coffee or I guess you can drink milk, water, or Gatorade. I think like ginger ale doesn't have caffeine in it, but I don't know.
Drink nowadays.
What?
Water.
Yeah, like what? Yeah,
it's the only thing you drink. The only thing you drink is water.
Pretty much. I mean, that makes sense.
I don't do caffeine. I don't do carb.
Right.
So there's nothing I can do except for water. But like I said, you know, caffeine to me is majorly part of my life. That's something I basically got rid of, and I think that you know it's an understanding that allows me to get rid of that big portion of my life because. I like it. I like the smell. I like the taste of the bitterness. And I drink it black, like jet black and double dose, triple dose, whatever. And I drink it.
Those were actually good. I actually did like those. I'm not a huge coffee drinker, but those were actually good. I did enjoy those. Yeah. You know what? I think maybe one of these days I'm going to make one of my challenges, like not just a no caffeine challenge, just water only is the only thing I can drink for a month. I think that would be really hard.
It's once you understand the benefits and what you trade off for, it's easy.
Do you put like a Mio in it or like
no, just water. Water. No.
Fair enough. I'm drinking plain water.
Just water. Right?
Water.
Because if you understand, right? So try to understand before you do it. If you understand it, then whatever you do makes it easier. Because to me, if you ask me before my knowledge of the core values and why we do things, right? If you ask me to quit coffee, I would say I would never able to do that, even if you give me $1 million. I wouldn't.
Right.
Because it's just so ingrained into what I do.
Right.
I'm addicted to it. But I did it. I never drink coffee again. If there is a non-caffeinated coffee, I would drink it. I have no problem drinking coffee.
Right.
It's the caffeine's in the coffee, but I have searched and there's nothing.
That doesn't exist. Caffeine doesn't exist. Is not right. I love how they market it. I had this argument with my dad one time where he was like, well, just drink like decaf. And I'm like, Dad, decaffeinated coffee isn't caffeine-free coffee. It's still caffeine. It just isn't as much caffeine. And he was like, no. It's decaf. And I'm like, no, it's not. You can't make decaf. There's no way to make decaffeinated coffee. I was like, Dad, do you know how they make decaffeinated coffee? And he goes, no. And I go, they just brew it. They brew it once and then they
they soak it. The thing is, you don't actually roast it, grind it, and brew it and get it back because that takes away the color. So what right? They soak the beans first.
The coffee beans are steamed and then rinsed repeatedly with the chemical solvent to flush away the caffeine.
So basically, they soak it in a solution to get the caffeine, and then they take the beans up again, they dry it, and then they roast it. That's why when you drink that decaffeinated, it's as dark as the one that is decaffeinated, regular coffee. But if you do brewing, right, the water gets lighter.
Gotcha. So it says the natural method is soaking coffee beans in water before being blasted.
But the way that you described is actually the way that people would actually get in Vietnam. That's how people get decaffeinated.
Which is soaking.
No, they just use the second batch.
Oh, the brew it and dry it again. And then...
My dad and my brothers and my sister all drink coffee. So my mom would drink coffee, but she likes the decaffeinated. So she always takes the second batch. You know, so we brew the first one, and we take the coffee out, and then she would take the same ground, and then she brew it again. And that's decaffeinated for her. But it's lighter. It smells like tea, but it's lighter.
It's probably like an actual, just normal cup of caffeinated coffee at that point in time. Normal coffee, American coffee, I mean.
It has the same amount of caffeine as a normal American decaffeinated bag, because the decaffeinated, when you brew it, it's just as dark as the regular coffee.
Yep, that's funny. Very cool. You learn something new every day, right? Awesome. Well, I know it's getting pretty late. I'm pretty exhausted. Speaking of tired, my eyes are about ready to close.
Why we sleep?
Toward the end of the day, right? Yeah. Good conversation overall. I mean, if anybody's ever curious about caffeine and its effects on your body, read this book. read Why We
Mhm.
Sleep. There's a few other recommendations. It's a
Come
powerful
talk to
drug.
us. Come talk to me. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I feel like I'm an expert on coffee. It's like,
You're an expert on coffee and quitting it at this point in time too, and the effects of it. So very cool. Thank you for sharing your results of your own caffeine challenge and inspiring
yeah.
me to do this
And
one.
I'm still on it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, good stuff. Awesome. The question we can leave for everybody is, are you in control of your habits, or are you letting the habits control you?
Mm.
So something to think about. And if if you're curious about caffeine stuff, check this out.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining, and we will see you all.
On Monday.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Sounds good. Have a
We'll
good
be back
one.
bright and early on Monday. Awesome. All right. Have a good one.
Good night.